You're part of the 145 million people currently using Microsoft Teams to communicate and collaborate in your business. If so, you need to see what it looks like to add voice to Microsoft Teams. You're talking about reduce complexity and save money. That's what we do for you at Brookside Consulting. We work with cloud-based solutions for voice, contact center, video, and always on internet from up to 170 providers. In most offices, what we see today, we have people using Microsoft Teams. In many cases, they've got a hardware phone still on the desk, whether it be it's an Avaya or an NEC or a Cisco or a Shortel, Mitel. Maybe they've already moved to the cloud, and so they're using a Polycom or a Poly, or they're using Yealink or maybe a Cisco. So those are just, those are completely separately used to make and receive voice calls outside of the company. Internally within the company, Microsoft Teams has become the number one format to go to for voice calls, video meetings, task management, file storage, presence, IM, all those things are all wrapped into it. So at the end of the day, the problem is you've got two solutions to manage versus one. So I mean, when you start, like I said, the desk phone's sitting there for external calls. Teams is for internal calls. That's kind of a, once you basically, if you can take and use direct routing, Microsoft has, it allows you to provide one app for everything. So you use Teams more or less as a client for all internal and external calling, chat, video, task management, files, for all those things. And so it's a single login, which makes it a lot easier. There's no change to the Teams user experience. That button pops up and it's already there and starts working. So I mean, that's kind of, so you got to ask yourself, why would you want to have users log into two solutions to be able to communicate and collaborate, one for internal and one for external, like they're doing today? Does that really make sense? Why have two voice mailboxes, one in Teams, one in your phone system? You have to check two, and they may integrate, they may forward to your email, but it's still not as good. So I mean, what you need to do is you need to get rid of your legacy phone system, hardware and lines and all that stuff, and just move voice to Microsoft Teams and use Microsoft Teams as your phone system. So the way that works, easy to set up, implement, and manage and use like everything. There's no user training since they're already using Teams. So there's really no change to their experience. So it just adds inbound and outbound calling. You can make and receive calls within the Teams app so that you have one app to use for voice, chat, video, screen sharing, task management, and file sharing. I mean, that works out really well. There's less complexity. Now, Microsoft has a solution they like to say, which is called 365 Business Voice. It's an end-to-end cloud-based phone service, but it's basically they're reselling somebody else's. So there's some things you need to consider. So if Teams goes down, all voice goes down. And that's not the case with some of the solutions we offer. But with Microsoft, that's the way it is. Issues with voice quality and drop calls, they have limited experience with voice. So they really are reselling someone else's trunks. They don't really work well with Apple. And it's really hard to find good support when you have voice issues. And they just, because at the end of the day, they're number one in finger pointing and they never take responsibility for their problems. So there are companies like Call to Teams have sprung up that have the number one workaround, Microsoft Teams and voice. There's no API available for Microsoft for Teams. So these guys have put together kind of more or less, like I said, a workaround for that's used by literally all the major telephony brands from Avaya, Mitel, NEC across the board, all the cloud solution providers. They're all using technically the same thing, basically the interface. And it looks like this. You got your PBX for cloud system there using SIP. It talks to this hardware solution called through Teams to Microsoft 365, which is where Teams is. So it's plug and play with, like I said, all the major PBXs and cloud-based providers, but it may or may not be the right solution. I mean, it works with everything. So is there one solution that's better than others? Well, it'd be good to know. I like 8x8 and have, when you're looking at Microsoft Teams, they seem to have the most experience in that space, meaning doing it the longest. They've got an enterprise contact center solution that really helps, make this an easy decision in some cases because the other guys don't. Or they're providing multiple vendors. There's software integration and they're clicks, not code, into all the major CRMs and ERPs and things of that nature. So once again, you're back to a single login for secure and reliable voice, chat, video, and contact center solutions from one company in 8x8. So 8x8 voice for Microsoft Teams integration is integrated, it's kind of just basically think of it as a calling plan for Teams. It kind of operates in the background. You don't even have any idea. The users don't know what's going on. They just know that now, for example, when they bring up Teams, that phone calls button now works. So they're able to make and receive calls, okay? And not have a phone on their desk. They can have one, but it's tied back into Teams, not into a third-party provider. So Microsoft Teams combines phone service, workplace presence, chat, video meetings, and file storage. Of course, 8x8 voice for Microsoft Teams is a cloud-based direct routing integration to Microsoft's phone system. So it's a better solution than what Microsoft offers. It's in direct routing. It's got just more features and capabilities and much more reliable. Both are in the Azure data center, so they're connecting that way for PSTN, or that's phone call, that's outside lines. unlimited calling to 46 countries. These are all part of what you get. And then also they bet you have the ability as needed to add software from everything from omni-channel to CRM integration, to customer journey analytics, call recording, all these things. And like I said, it uses hardware and software phones. So A-Bay Voice for Microsoft Teams provides enterprise-grade global Teams connectivity to Microsoft Teams. Users can communicate on a single communications platform, regardless of where they are. I mean, whether in Teams or not, it works both in and out of Teams. So they kind of complement each other. Unified management, A-Bay has centralized management of the whole organization. So including all the Teams members, they can do bulk sync. And when they add users, it automatically picks it up in Active Directory. There's a single sign-on, which is really easy for the users to be able to automatically get authenticated and get logged in and get to work. Now, there's no bots or plugins with direct routing, so you don't have any kind of squirrely stuff going on there. It's just a clean integration. Users can benefit from the exact same user experience from making calls, either from desktop, mobile, or browser. So it's easy on the users. No need for any special training or any of those things. So I mean, it's really slick and works out really well. So to install, it's pretty easy too. I've done several of them now. Installation can be done in minutes, not hours, because basically Teams just syncs up with A-Bay. You're kind of done. So you download a user template in a CSV file format that I provide you. You take that, it gets put into A-Bay's cloud, which like Active Directory wise is syncing with Teams. So once both A-Bay and Teams have the right permissions, setting up Teams users, and A-Bay is the easiest 1, 2, 3. So you see the application panel there. You go in there, find the user, then you basically enable Microsoft Teams integration, and you are done. That's too easy. So at that point in time, like I said, this call button comes alive, and essentially there's a built-in soft phone now within your Teams app. So if you're using it on any device, it's now a phone. It's an iPad, Android tablet, all those things. So come up, the application will come up. It'll be a dial pad. It'll be click to call. Being able to click on any of the contacts, have automatically call out. Now, like I said, you can do this on any device. There's an Android tablet, mobile phone, all these things. Anything can run the app can look like a phone on this system. So when they say it, they really mean it when they say it works on any device, anywhere, desktop, notebook, tablet, mobile, whatever you need. And once again, one app for everything. I mean, that makes it work a lot easier. On a soft phone, it's pretty cool. I mean, on the mobile phones, they added a soft phone to the mobile app. You're able to, like I said, make and receive calls. Caller ID comes up, on your office number, so that you can separate your business and personal on the same device. Multiple options for hardware. You can reuse in some cases. In some cases, it makes sense. But they almost give you new phones every time. So I mean, whether they're Poly, Cisco, Yealink, Grandstream, these all work with the solution we'll be looking at. A big feature and capabilities, omni-channel contact center, which adds. It takes your regular voice traffic and stats and analytics, and it adds email, chat through the website, SMS, text, and all those kind of things, email, all that, and then social media integration, so that you can track up to 28 different social media channels on things like WhatsApp, which is international, to LinkedIn, and keep track of all those calls, where they're coming from. And then on top of that, you've got performance analytics and customer experience analytics, help you really have analytics on every customer and employee interaction by recording it and using the ability to go back and say, okay, what was the customer's mad? So speech and sentiment analysis on every call helps you understand calling patterns and customer behavior. And this really helps you keep, your business running efficiently. You have real-time data, you see everything in one analytics suite. So it's from real-time custom dashboards to quality device reporting. They give you everything you need to be able to have analytics on every customer employee interaction. And A-Bay is certified with Microsoft for their contact center, being integrated, because it's one of the top ones. I mean, when you compare A-Bay's contact center against all the other bigger ones, InContact, Five9, Talkdesk, I mean, they smoke them. Look at that. I mean, it's check marks for everything. They get unified communication, team collaboration, video. I mean, the other guys don't have that when you get the contact center. Now, the other UCAS providers don't have what the contact center guys have, like speech analytics with AI, quality management, outbound dialing, workforce management, customer journey analytics, all these things. They all make it a lot easier. So then there's business software integration. We have to make sure that if it's going to be a HubSpot, Zendesk, whatever you're using, Salesforce, Zoho, we can in Oracle. What we can mainly do is we can do clicks, not code, to be able to integrate this stuff. So then we also are familiar with when you kind of marry these two together. You got people that need Salesforce, people using Teams, and we know how to make this happen. So A-Bay Voice for Microsoft Teams app is a relatively new way to give you quick and easy access to everything that you need from A-Bay within the Microsoft Teams interface or GUI. So when you start looking at, you've got, everybody the Teams, application. So within the Teams, what will happen is it adds a one-touch 8x8 customer portal access, so that you're able to do anything in the phone system from within Teams. It's part of the single sign-in. So anytime you bring up at a glance, you see voicemail, you see SMS, you see faxes, and you see your settings button if you need to make changes. So it just, like I said, allows them to be able to make changes to the features and capabilities within Microsoft Teams, log in and out of HCD, or call queues and handle calls directly to the queues, navigate the analytics, set up voicemail preferences, change passwords, all that, external caller ID, make changes to that, define forwarding, as things change. But again, this is from the app, an app, so you can do it from anywhere. And default music on hold or add a custom recording, and then send and receive faxes, SMS, texting, and all that using your direct business number. Once again, we're back to separating our personal from our business life. So how does it all work? Well, you got those three dots down there that pop up. When you click on that, one of the apps you can find is the 8x8 app. That just allows you to be able to, you find it once you find it, you get it installed on there, and basically, welcome, you're in. You want to go in through a single sign-on. See on the left, there's, obviously the 8x8 logo has been added to the toolbar. Then they would log in using, single sign-on, and then boom, next thing you know, you're in. Welcomes you. What do you want to do? You want to check your voicemail? All these things. Like I said, they're all visual right there. Right there. So this, like I said, this is really more, I think it was more of a direct access to the 8x8 customer portal. So that works out real well. So once again, like I said, you can check your voicemail. Here's what the voicemail looks like within the portal. Once again, I'm in Teams looking at my voicemail in 8x8. Because I don't really think you need to have two mailboxes. You don't need to even use the voicemail in Teams because it's just not really, who knows. It's not very reliable from what I've heard. Okay, so then you got, send and receive texting, faxes, basically adjust call queues, log in and out, log people in and out, manage your settings from your name and passwords and things of that nature to call forwarding rules. You see that they don't answer in so many seconds, what do you do with the call? I've never seen an easier customer portal than what these guys have. So at the end of the day, you wind up, here, like I said, there's on the toolbar where you see 8x8's been added. You've got a dial pad. This is what Teams looks like after we get done putting our software in. And it's very documented, very easy to use. Once you get on you see the user help and all this stuff. They got videos and things that really help you with managing the 8x8 voice from Microsoft Teams app. So really, it's very, very, very reliable. And and that's when we want to swing back around to Teams, which Teams sometimes can be less than reliable. So what if Teams does go down? Okay, we all have a guy like that in the office. Okay, if you look at Down Detector, Teams goes down quite a bit. These are outages based on today. I just went in and got the latest stats. You see the yellow is not good in certain areas. These are outage. User end reports indicate possible problems at Teams. It almost always says that. When you look at the outages over the last 24 hours, there have been a lot. And by comparison, if you take and look at 365, which is where Teams is, and you add Teams to it, and you look at Azure, which is where it's located, and you compare all that to 8x8, and all of them on the last 28 hours, based on June 22nd, you see it's kind of a big difference in reliability there. So I think we also, another way to look at it here is, you got Mitel, 8x8, RingCentral, Zoom, all these semi-reported outages in the last 12 months. Well, the one that stands out is 148 with Microsoft Teams. I know Zoom too is at 253, but that's just a lot. So what if Microsoft Teams goes down? So, here we go. Once Teams goes out like this, all your video, chat, voice, they're all down. That doesn't work, over there on that side. 8x8 voice, the lines will still work, the phones will still work. Everything will still kind of work, except, the main things that you use, the integration to Office 365, Office and things of that nature is not there. But the phones, so the remote users, contact center agents, everybody, because what they can do at the end of the day, they can log into a free app that comes with every user license, which is 8x8 Work. That has a built-in soft phone, video, presence, and IM. at the end of the day, it looks a lot like what you already have with Teams. So this is what the screen looks like. You see over there, it's lined up almost the same toolbars. I think it's a mistake that they did that, but you've got your business SMS, your video calls, faxes, everything right there, call recordings, all easy access. So we take a look at that. We take a look at Teams. They're kind of almost the same. Not a big difference to go to 8x8 Work from Teams. Okay, and once you do this, also you're still going to have to buy some software from Microsoft. They have a phone system license that they want to sell you if you don't have the E5. It's somewhere maximum I've seen is $8 a user a month, and that's just the ability for 8x8 or anybody to be able to talk to the Microsoft phone system. So with 8x8, it's like X1 through X8. That's all you need. Pick a license, and we can talk more about that in detail. However, this is how it usually works. You got X2, X4, X6, and 8. So X2, let's say is around $24. Once again, this is list price, not what you're going to pay for it, but around $24 for and that's going to give you 20 countries. When you move up to $44 a month for X4, you get unlimited calling to 46 countries, which is huge. And that's where you get into CRM integration and customer engagement analytics. When you get into X6, I would call that a basic call center. It does all your stats and things of that nature, but it's really not omni-channel like it is in X8. You can add, you've got advanced speech and interaction, and now analytics. You got predictive outbound dialing, you got quality management reports, things of that nature. And like I said, it adds email, web chat, and social media to what you already have. So at the end of the day, you say, why 8x8? Okay, well, it's the phone system in the cloud, context in the cloud solution. That's just a unique combination, and it gives you a lot of features and capabilities in a very cost-effective way to go about it without any duplication. Single point of contact for all services, support for all phones, contact center. Latest and greatest cloud-based technology is always up to date. Zero hardware or phone company lines on site. So Microsoft Team integration allows you to manage 8x8 settings through the 8x8 voice, my Teams app within the Teams window. CRM integration, that helps you basically, integrate the screen pops, and then there's omni-channel once again, email, web chat, everything all added, so that you have everything about your customer and employee interactions, software in our hardware phones, and then of course the 8x8 work backup, which allows you to be able to, literally never go down. So this is kind of what it looks like in a nutshell. There's a lot of information on my website at brooksideus.com. There's actually a tab there that says Microsoft Teams and Voice. So we'd really like to help you out. We're a cloud communications company that works with UCaaS, CCaaS, and SD-WAN. Brookside Consulting, www.brooksideus.com.